Lakers are back on the court tonight. They play Toronto at Crypto.com, 7:30 tip-off. The Lakers are trying to get back to 500. They're one game below. Michigan wins the college football national championship. They beat Washington last night by 21 to cap a 15-0 season. Let the chatter begin. Did Jim Harbaugh coach his final game in Michigan? The Chargers need a premier coach like Harbaugh to help turn around the franchise and restore the fan base. Stay tuned. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
So, what are you doing this Friday morning? How about you come join the KBLA delegation as we make a historic announcement and unveil our climate justice campaign for 2024. We'll be assembled for this major press conference along with LA Mayor Karen Bass, Ben Jealous, Executive Director of the Sierra Club, and a host of other public and private leaders who are joining us on this journey to justice, climate justice. We can't think of a better way to kick off the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend, linking social justice and climate justice. So, come join us this Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. at the beautiful MLK Memorial Tree Grove at the top of Kenneth Hahn Park off La Cienega. Once again, that's this Friday morning, January 12th at 10:30 a.m. as we take on the task of elevating the climate conversation by amplifying the voices of those who are most impacted by the climate catastrophes we are all witnessing in real time. KBLA delegation, we hope to see you this Friday morning at KBLA Talk 1580. Climate is king. Climate is king. Climate is king. Climate is king. Climate is king.
Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those that trespass against us. Although them again we will never, never, never trust. Them not know what them do. Dig out your eye while I'm sticking like glue. Blink skin grin while them plotting for you. True.
Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Me I tell them I know.
Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
But real them not a clue.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Be careful of those who pretend to be brothers.
Yes, indeed. 800-920-1580. Bring it, bring it, bring it. Let's talk about it. We got a lot going on. We got a lot to talk about, as always. And whether you're in the chat on KBLA 1580 YouTube, or whether you are on these phones, I'd love to hear your perspective. Even on the social media, KBLA 1580 on every single platform. That's where we are, and I sure would appreciate you joining me there. Now, it's Friday is our big announcement around here about our climate justice campaign, and the piece says climate is king, climate justice is king. And you know, maybe that sounds abstract, but I always say this, and I truly believe this: if we do not have a planet that can sustain human life, every other issue is moot. If we don't have a planet that's habitable, what else are we even talking about? If you can't breathe, if there's no water to drink, if it's too hot to sustain human life, what are we even talking about? And 2023 was the hottest year on record, global temperatures. And it wasn't even close. Not even close. This is, I'm looking at a chart right here in the New York Times. And it's, yeah. I don't track Celsius, but I don't do Celsius plus 1.78 Celsius. But it looks, it's higher than ever in history. And they're saying, scientists are telling us, this year can be even hotter. Yeah. Just rising temperatures, and more strange occurrences in terms of climate events, disasters, and the rate of change speeding up. So I'm happy to be addressing it as a radio station, as a community, because it's not just us. We'll have some powerful partners, and you will meet them on Friday. If you meet us up at the top of the hill, Kenneth Hahn Park, it is at 10:30 in the morning. And if you've been up there, there's that MLK monument right up at the top of the hill. You can meet us there. And we saw it. We saw it all over the world. We saw it in China. We saw it in Greece. We saw it in Spain. And we saw it in the United States, particularly in the South. Canada, remember the wildfires? 45 million acres burned there. Less sea ice than ever measured. These are not good signs. We'll get more numbers from NASA and the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration and another group called Berkeley Earth. Those are supposed to come out later this week. But if you think about it, the 2015 Paris Agreement around global warming was meant to keep things to 2 degrees Celsius, no more than 2 degrees Celsius, that being seen as a tipping point. If possible, 1.5 degrees Celsius. That was like the optimistic, yes, please. But last year we were 178. And that shows you, even if you don't do Celsius, that we are walking right along the edge of what we can sustain. Now, the good news is when we make efforts, when we scale back greenhouse gases, which are responsible for most of the actual warming, it does make a difference. The good news is it's not too late to save ourselves. It's not too late to save my life, to save your life, to save the planet. And we have the science to do it, right? But if we don't get real serious about it, and we're going to have to be the ones that hold our elected officials, our corporations, our world leaders accountable. We have to. No one else is going to do it. No one else is going to make sure your kids and your grandkids have breathable air. Going straight to Fred, calling me from the Crenshaw district. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Sister Dominique. How you doing, my sister?
I am blessed. What's on your mind this morning?
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Yes, okay. I'm sure you're going to be in the King Parade on Monday the 15th. You're going to be on a float?
I'll be floating around Lemert Park. I'm not going to be on a float, but I'll be floating around. We got that festival that happens after the parade in Lemert, and that is always tons of fun. Are you going to be on a float, Fred?
Well, no, I'm gonna be observing. I'll be at King and Crenshaw at the bus bench. I'll see everybody and say Happy King to everybody, and I have a couple of runs to do, so I'll see if I get over to Lemert Park. But I definitely will be on the corner of King and Crenshaw by Krispy Kreme Donuts.
Okay, all right, fine, Fred. Buy Krispy Kreme. You're not going in though. You're not getting any donuts. You just
no. Well, see what I'm gonna do. See, we have a McDonald's in my neighborhood. I'm gonna get me a breakfast, and then see, this is from 11 to 1. So while they're coming down, while the parade is coming down, King, I'm gonna be feasting my face on Mickey D's food.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, so much for that resolution. But anyway, I know that's not what you called me about.
Well, no. About the election. I was reading in the LA Times paper, and it looks like the Supreme Court is going to let Trump be on the ballot. There's 17 states waiting to see what's going on, and right now it looks like we only got 2 people, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. There's a possibility that Joe Manchin may come out. He said he wants to make the March 5th, but he won't say now as to which party he may get behind. Could be independent, but if you remember some time ago, that's not really help too good. Remember when Ross Perot was running? That takes away votes from the Democrat and Republican, but everybody's got to get out there and vote. Democracy is on the line. You know, sometimes my mom and dad say you have to take the lesser of evil. I don't want to see Trump up there for another 4 years. I rely on Social Security. He wants to go on Medicare, wants to get rid of reunions, get rid of overtime pay, and both him and Ron DeSantis, as far as I'm concerned, they both racist. Then Nikki Haley couldn't even answer the question. They answered what's the cause of the Civil War? Well, two governments couldn't get together. It was slavery. She said, well, of course it was slavery. Well, why didn't she say that? See, that all
because she's a Confederate. Because she's a white supremacist Confederate. She's a proof, along with Clarence Thomas, that you don't have to be white to practice white supremacy.
Yeah. But anyway, I think Biden can give us, but the young people got to come out, the Hispanics, the LGBT, Asians, all of us got to band together to make sure that guy don't get another 4 years in office. That'd be terrible. I know you got a lot of calls lined up. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'm going to try and get on next week. Okay,
it's great to hear from you, Fred. Nikki Haley, a.k.a. Nimarata Nikki Randhawa Haley. So it really, if you think about it, it's kind of like a rapper. Her name, it's only instead of going more street, she went more mainstream. Shall we call it mainstream? Shall we call it general market, or shall we just go on ahead and say white? Nimarata. She chose her middle name, Nikki, and last name is actually Haley, but she didn't choose Nimarata Randhawa, and she chose Nikki and Haley. Interesting. But that just goes to show you what I just said. Yeah. You got to look at the policy, not the person. It's so crazy. I was thinking, when I said Clarence Thomas, it reminded me of my father, the late Amiri Baraka, a.k.a. Leroy Jones, who used to call him Tom Ass Clarence. Can I say that on the radio? I don't know, Miles. I don't know. I guess Travis will let me know. He used to call him that. And I remembered that in my mind when I woke up this morning and said my prayers before I came here. I thought about 10 years ago today, my father made his transition. And I remembered how the day after that, I was on the radio because I knew that my dad loved me to be on the radio. He didn't want me to stop for pregnancy, for disasters, for anything. And so I just wanted to join me in dedicating today's show to my papa, the late Amiri Baraka, a.k.a. Leroy Jones, who made his transition 10 years ago today, and how ironic it is that today is a Talking Point Tuesday, because my dad was the king of slicing, dicing, and totally obliterating talking points and propaganda. He was the king of it. He could see through the BS with some kind of X-ray vision that I'm still striving to develop at that level. The analysis. I mean, we could go see a James Bond movie and he would break down all the political points that were there and what the propaganda was that was present, that was hidden in the script, and reminded us that all art is political, so we might as well be intentional about what it is we want to say. I thought about that because he was relentless in his dogging out of the Supreme Court Justice criminal Clarence Thomas, until I find out whether I could say it how my dad said it. I better just call him by his government name. And he actually is the one that dubbed them the extreme court long before they were as cravenly white supremacist as they are today. And I do borrow that phrase from him when I talk about the extreme court, the far right-wing activism of our current court. I can only imagine what he would be saying today. The revelation of Clarence Thomas's 38 luxury vacations paid for by far right-wing Republican billionaires. I can only imagine what he would be saying about Nimarata Nikki Randhawa, Haley. I can only speculate on what he would be saying about the hearing that we face today to find out whether he who shall not be named, China Dawn, the 45th president, or 44 and a half, as attorney Jomfy calls him, what today is the day he finds out whether he will be deemed above the law by our courts. I can only imagine. I often wonder, what would my dad say? What would Dick Gregory say? Right now, I'd love to hear what you would say. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima, and you're listening to Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
She's so smooth, so...
I'm interrupting my own shower to remind you to treat your skin like the queen she is with Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash, packed with Olay's highest level of vitamin B3 complex. It's so moisturizing that it will give you visibly smoother, head-turning skin in just 14 days. People wondering, how'd she get so smooth? Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash. Also, try Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion.
Discover, this is Daniela.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great, but with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Do you like asparagus and mushroom sorbet? I've got leftovers.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Yes, it does. Fred called me on 800-920-1580, and you can too, as did Randy from Watts. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. You know, Dominique, your dad is so proud of you. I followed you since you've been on this station here and KGLH.
Thank you.
And you, as a daughter, I have a daughter similar to you, and you ladies just make us dads so proud when we see how you excel. I admire, and I know the amount of effort you're on. You got your son on everybody's pulse. But let's talk about the pulse right now of this global warming, a.k.a. climate change, a.k.a. why are we going overboard on these fossil fuels? I'm on 99 right now. I've got an airplane part in here. No, I've got a refinery park is going to a facility up here. I must have passed about 1,500 to 2,000 trucks.
Wow.
Not one was an electric, and I think I saw one natural gas truck that was an Amazon truck. But does our community realize that California is the only state that's pushing its emissions to this degree? And Dominique, there's got to be at least 50,000 to 125,000 trucks that don't even come to California that haul perishables, meats, produce, things of that magnitude that we need to consume.
You say they don't come here. Is it? And you're saying it's because of our restrictions around emissions?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
We're the only state now. Let's go greenhouse gases, carbon monoxide, aka greenhouse gases. And you are aware of what photosynthesis is, right?
Absolutely.
Now, our trees and anything that lives thrives off of greenhouse gas. But yet and still, I do not see campaigns set forth to replenish our forests.
Even in the city, Randy, I don't understand why. And for those who don't know, photosynthesis is the process by which plants breathe and live, the way they eat, the way they process the sun's rays, the way they are able to turn carbon monoxide and toxins in the environment into breathable air. And I don't understand why they're constantly, like even in the west side of South LA, they're constantly cutting down all these trees and trimming them back so severely where they're just twigs, and yet we hear about how we got to plant all these trees. And if you go over to the west side and you go to the wealthier neighborhoods, it's lush and green.
God, you are so smart. I love you. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
You are so correct. Now, I've been preaching this for the last 20 years, and they look at me like, well, that 6'4" giant, he don't know what he's talking about. But the reality, I'm driving through here right now. We got eucalyptus here on 99. These trees only last about 20 years, and I'm passing dozens of them that are dead, and they're not replacing them with evergreens.
Yeah.
I mean, and our forests could be replenished. Nobody's planting pines. Nobody's doing any birch or oak. And we're talking about this. It's going to be a matter of time to when our food supply, or what we call the supply chain, is drastically hammered behind staple items that we can't get in California, and our government here is jumping on. And you,
well,
I know you've heard me say it.
Go ahead.
I call it the global warming religion.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Randy. The solution is not for us to stop our standards. The solution is for other states to step up, because then it wouldn't be so expensive if everyone shared the cost, and those trucks could come on in here because they'd be up to our standards. The solution is not for us to go ahead and go back to destroying the planet. The solution is for the other 49 states to step the heck up. Once again, you have an example of a blue state, California, big economy, basically paying the bill to save your butt. Why should we have to pay the bill to save your butt, Texas, Florida, Wyoming? That's not fair. But that's exactly what's happening. And then they want to clown us. Oh, they have climate standards. Oh, their gas is expensive because they're trying to save the planet. Well, you know what? And that's the thing about the climate emergency. We all breathe the same air. We can't wall off California's air, just have nice, clean, fresh oxygen here while y'all, choke on your waste. No, we have to share the air. And so, to me, the solution is upgrade everybody, not downgrade Cali.
No. The solution needs to be looked at, and we're treading it carefully, but at a cost that we don't know what the cost is. I mean, I've talked to farmers out here because I deliver to a lot of grain and farm locations, and they're telling me their bumper crops are going like gangbusters. Now, is that a fact that maybe we've got so much carbon monoxide and there's so much greenhouse gases? that these plants are taking advantage of it? Maybe.
I mean, that only goes to a point. When you get to a point with your carbon monoxide, you kill the plants, right? I mean, they can't endlessly and infinitely take on more and more and more toxins. And, and we're hearing now about trapping carbon monoxide in oceans and, and in greenhouse gases under the ocean, that the ocean has the capacity to do that too. But at the same time, they want to mine on the ocean floor, which would actually release that carbon monoxide, which is trapped down there. So, all of these things have an interplay and a delicate balance, and there's no one simple solution, but we're going to have to change our lifestyle. And eliminating fossil fuels is got to be at the top of the list. It has to be, no matter how much big oil fights it.
Well, one of the realities of fossil fuels, it's not just fuel. It's plastic.
Yeah.
It's adhesive.
True.
It's paint. It's glue. It's grease. It's cosmetics. It's that Jerry curl
Not my
juice
cosmetics.
When I had hair. When I had hair, I sprayed it on my head. Miles in there laughing. I had hair, Miles. Anyway.
But look, I have hair. I don't spray it on my hair. I don't use petroleum on my skin. I know you guys might take my black card for not using Vaseline, but Vaseline is made from petroleum. We shouldn't be putting things on our skin or on our hair that we couldn't potentially put in our mouth. So all natural products that are made by black-owned purveyors, get you some mixed chicks, some kinky curly, get you some organic cold-pressed coconut oil instead of that Vaseline, or some shea butter. That way you don't kill yourself and you don't kill the planet. That's a win-win. And you can still have curls.
Yeah. And we need to realize, and most of us as consumers don't realize that.
Yeah.
But you keep us aware of what's happening. I just don't want to see the shelves lay bare. And we already can see how the bananas that I mentioned to you last year can't last in the house more than 2 days. And a lot of us just think it's because those bananas are not coming into the port of Los Angeles like they were.
Okay, got to leave it there. We got news, traffic, and sports right here. Hard stop, Randy, but it's a great conversation on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome to a Tuesday. It is January 9th. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Former President Trump is expected to appear in 2 different courtrooms this week over efforts to overturn the 2020 election and his civil fraud case. First off, he's planning to attend today's hearing in a Washington, D.C. federal appeals court. Then on Thursday, he'll be in New York for closing arguments in the fraud case. In Nevada, the man seen in a viral video attacking a Las Vegas judge has been charged with attempted murder in connection with that attack. The African-American man was also charged with more than a dozen other crimes, including 6 counts of battery on a protected person. The man is accused of diving over the bench and injuring Clark County District Judge Mary Kay Holthus as she was sentencing him in an attempted battery case. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Shop the closeout event now at Lowe's. Get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an extra $100 when you spend $999 or more on all major appliances. Valid 1/4/24 to 1/24/24. Selection varies by location while supplies last. See Lowe's.com for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Impressive win for the Clippers last night. They beat Phoenix by 27. All 5 starters scored in double figures. Paul George led the way with 25 points. Kawhi Leonard had 5 steals. Over the past 5 games, Kawhi has 15 steals and 7 block shots. The Clippers are straight up balling. They are 10 games over 500 and 15-3 since December 1st. The Lakers are back on the court tonight. They play Toronto at Crypto.com, 7:30 tip-off. The Lakers are trying to get back to 500. They're 1 game below. Michigan wins the college football national championship. They beat Washington last night by 21 to cap a 15-0 season. Let the chatter begin. Did Jim Harbaugh coach his final game in Michigan? The Chargers need a premier coach like Harbaugh to help turn around the franchise and restore the fan base. Stay tuned. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of This Light of Ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. A dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This Light of Ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This Light of Ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Hey, I came as fast as I could. What's wrong?
Everything's okay. I just need you to know I'm glowing up.
You just texted SOS Get Here Now.
And I stand by that because I switched to Cricut and got the all-new Motorola Razr. I have entered my flip era, and I am glowing up.
I'm gonna go back home.
I support that.
Switch to Cricut and get the all-new Motorola Razr for $199.99. Smile, you're on Cricut.
Must open a new line on a $60 a month voice plan. First month service charge and tax to its sale. Fees, terms, and restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Don't settle for bumps, ingrowns, and itch due to dry skin. Venus for Pubic Hair and Skin is here with the only razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area, featuring a razor with a patented irritation defense bar and skincare regimen that is dermatologist and gynecologist tested. Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave irritation. Visit GilletteVenus.com to learn more about our full regimen of products.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
We are, and it is perfect time to call me, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. We've got the other Fred, another Fred. Fred from LA, good morning.
Hello, Dominique. Been listening, and I said I'd call you back. E. Jean Carroll. Friday I was listening, and a woman said, one of your callers said Donald Trump couldn't even go into Walmart. So when the story broke about E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit, I went to the beauty queen herself and asked her a question. Of course, I knew what the answer would be.
Who's the beauty queen? I'm sorry.
My 72-year-old sister. She won the 1966 homecoming queen, Dorsey High School. I had to chaperone her in those years. But anyway, here's the question, and I'm going to ask the same question to you. It was about 1993 on a Thursday. She didn't know which one it was. It was about 7:30 p.m. She's coming out of a department store, and she says, Donald Trump going in. So I asked my sister, she being E. Jean Carroll, me being me. My girlfriend or my wife, about your size, looks pretty good, about like you. Would you come to the back room to the woman's department? I want to buy her something for her birthday or anniversary or whatever it was, and try on her size of clothes. Oh, and by the way, there's no attendant there either. Of course, maybe I didn't know that at the time. But would you go back there and try some things on, and so I can get my girlfriend or my wife a gift? And before I could finish, my sister used street language at me. I hadn't heard her use a street language since 1972. She's a church-going woman.
Okay.
Now we all know the answer to the question.
But you're not really telling this whole story right, Fred. I'm assuming from the way you're telling the story that you do not believe E. Jean Carroll.
Not at all. Would you go to the back?
Well, the reason I say you're not doing a fair telling of the story is that E. Jean Carroll and Donald Trump knew each other. She was a writer. She had written about him. He was a very famous billionaire playboy developer, and so it's not like he was some random guy just asking her to go to the back of the room. If I saw, let's say, let's say Elon Musk. We're not close friends, but I know him. I've been to his house. And before I knew how wild he was on the right wing side, if I would have run into Elon Musk in a store, I've talked about him on the radio. I've met him before. He's famous. He's a famous billionaire. I don't think he's going to risk it all on me. I would help him pick out something for his girl. When I met him originally, he was a pretty nice guy. He seemed like a nice guy, and before he went over, to the dark side. I would. I'd be like, okay, I got a minute. He's Elon Musk. He's a powerful guy. Yeah, I'll go help you figure out what you're getting for one of your many girlfriends. Yeah.
I followed the entire case. Donald Trump says he doesn't know her. He still says he doesn't know her. How did
Donald Trump is a liar. Let's not forget. The guy is a liar, number one. I don't even like calling names. That's not a name. That's not a name calling. That's a fact. He doesn't tell the truth. He's pictured hugged up on right next to her. So he does know her.
Where can I read this? Where can I see this?
The picture? It's everywhere.
No, I haven't seen it.
You're not following the case too close then.
I follow the case about as close as it can be.
No, you don't if you haven't seen the picture. Okay, anyway, I want to let you get to your point. But yeah, they're pictured together from back then. He's looking rather Donald Trump-ish. Anyway, go ahead. You were making a point. You forced your sister to okay, his arms aren't around her.
My sister, I asked her the question.
You forced her to cuss. Okay,
well,
what point were you making?
I asked her, would she go to the dressing room with a strange man? It is in my opinion that they were strangers.
No, I wouldn't either, but they weren't.
They're
not strangers. They're pictured together. He's chatting her up at a party. They're not strangers. And I think Marla Maples, is that Marla Maples? That's Marla Maples. So when he was married to Marla, she's in the picture too. Mm-hmm.
You know what? I've seen that picture, but Donald Trump says he's not.
Now you've seen the picture.
Not, a lot. Yeah, I've seen it.
But he's schmoozing her. He's talking her up.
No, you would have to have a video. No, this was a still. How could he be talking her up with a still?
You can tell. Everyone's looking at him. They're laughing at him. He's clearly doing what Donald does. What us Geminis do is get to talking, become the center of attention. He's a liar. But anyway, what was your bottom line? Your bottom line was that you don't believe her.
No,
or that no woman would go to a dressing room with a guy.
No.
But I don't agree with that because she knew him and he was famous. It's not like some guy. If you ask your sister if she would go, to a dressing room to help, name a black billionaire. I don't know. Tyler Perry, pick out something for his girlfriend. She's met Tyler Perry a couple times. He's a billionaire. He's well known. She don't think he's going to attack you because he has a lot to lose. And also we are not trained because of the bias in the media. We're not trained to think a billionaire famous person is also a serial predator on women, which Donald Trump clearly is.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Bye.
I wonder if his sister is listening. Fred, thank you for the call. I appreciate you. Woo. Yeah. And this is, and I get it. A lot of people don't ever believe the women, which is why we say believe the women. I do think due process is still a thing. And so, the balance part of the Me Too movement is believe the women, do an investigation, consequences for the man pending investigation and legal action, right? The Second Court of Appeals has rejected a request by lawyers for Donald Trump. Oh, I don't even like saying it. Former President Donald Trump, for the full court to look at whether federal immunity protects him from being sued for defamation by E. Jean Carroll, who we were just talking about. So he's not getting immunity for that one, according to the Second Circuit Court, U.S. Court of Appeals. Now, we will see what the ruling is concerning the presidential immunity today. He has a court appearance. I mean, it's just insane. This guy's going to court. He's going to sit in court. The Iowa caucuses are a little less than a week away on MLK Day, Monday. But this guy is going to sit in court. And of course, this is regarding immunity around the January 6th attack, the coup attempt. But it obviously, if he's granted immunity, it's going to be a situation that will impact every other case. And I don't know if that leaks over into the civil case against E. Jean Carroll. I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer and I haven't asked a lawyer. But it seems to me, if the ruling is that the president is above the law, that a former president cannot be put on trial for any crime related to the office unless they're impeached first and then convicted by Congress, it seems like it would impact everything. Although I'm not sure how defaming E. Jean Carroll's related to the presidency. But stretching the law, stretching the truth, stretching credulity is a specialty of this particular former president, a.k.a. China Dawn. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Love to hear from you, 800-920-1580. We are KBLA Talk 1580, 40 acres and a mic.
More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. So, what are you doing this Friday morning? How about you come join the KBLA delegation as we make a historic announcement and unveil our climate justice campaign for 2024. We'll be assembled for this major press conference along with LA Mayor Karen Bass, Ben Jealous, Executive Director of the Sierra Club, and a host of other public and private leaders who are joining us on this journey to justice, climate justice. We can't think of a better way to kick off the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend, linking social justice and climate justice. So, come join us this Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. at the beautiful MLK Memorial Tree Grove at the top of Kenneth Hahn Park off La Cienega. Once again, that's this Friday morning, January 12th at 10:30 a.m. as we take on the task of elevating the climate conversation by amplifying the voices of those who are most impacted by the climate catastrophes we are all witnessing in real time. KBLA delegation, we hope to see you this Friday morning at KBLA Talk 1580. Climate is king. Climate is king. Climate is king. Climate is king. Climate is king.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Do you have both Medi-Cal and Medicare?
If so, the new LA Care plan called Medicare Plus can help you get the most out of your health plan for $0.
LA Care provides personalized service to Angelinos like us.
Plus, it gives us access to doctors and specialists across Los Angeles County.
For zero cost, we get access to full benefits.
From vision coverage,
in-home support services,
to prescription drug coverage,
and a quarterly over-the-counter allowance.
plus personal equipment.
Meal programs,
a gym membership,
And so much more.
for more than 25 years,
LA Care has provided Angelinos with access to quality health care at an affordable cost.
For our families,
our seniors,
our community,
it's a plus.
it's a plus.
for all of us.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Do you remember the conversation we had with Black Lives Matter Mississippi, the Mississippi chapter organizer Marquel Bridges, where he talked about the body buried that was buried by police there, young man, so-called missing after an encounter with police at a traffic stop. And then turns out he was buried in a pauper's grave, an unmarked grave. The family found out, and then Marquel was telling us about how they had found out about two other similar situations where law enforcement is just taking these black people, burying them in shallow graves, not notifying the families. Well, now they have found 215 bodies buried behind a jail in Mississippi. And of course, Marquel Bridges and Black Lives Matter Mississippi is on the case. They're calling for a federal investigation. They are protesting to bring light to this situation. They have even caught the attention of Attorney Ben Crump, who's now getting involved. They were, again, in a pauper's makeshift cemetery behind the Hines County Penal Farm, and they are not, I was talking with my friend, Dr. Abdullah, these are not, with the first thing I thought when I read it, which is must be a slave cemetery. No, unless by slave you mean person in the last couple of years, black person, and there are some other folks. I mean, I'm assuming that they're not all black, but I'm not sure. That are being just thrown away like garbage by law enforcement. I mean, when we talk about black life mattering, it means when you lose a black life or when you steal a black life, it has to be honored and respected the way you would any other person. These are the reasons why we say Black Lives Matter, because y'all act like it doesn't matter, because y'all treat us like it doesn't matter. You shoot us down in the streets like it doesn't matter. You bury us in paupers' graves like it doesn't matter. That's why we have to say it. And, we tend to focus on BLMLA because we are in Los Angeles, and Black Lives Matter Los Angeles has a show here on Saturday mornings from 8 to 10. This is not a drill, but there are 33 charter chapters of Black Lives Matter, and they are all doing important work. And this story, it just makes my skin crawl and my spirit cry. And I'm so glad that Marquel Bridges and others are on this case. This stemming from, remember, we talked about it, Jonathan David Hankins. His family found out he died from the news. And he was the third guy that was buried without the family being notified. So we will track this story. Hopefully we'll get Marquel back on to get some insight into a horrifying story, a story that makes me remember focusing on what we want. What we want is justice here. And the fact that these activists are on the case means that perhaps some of these families will get a measure of relief, a measure of justice. And it makes me want to pray, because this is the kind of evil doing that requires light, that requires prayer, that requires faith. Let's go to Howard calling us from Watts. Hi, Howard. Ola Jumbo Hotep. What's up? Howard, you with me? Howard, did you go out to breakfast? Did you go to sleep? Okay, I guess we don't have Howard anymore. Howard, call me back if you want to. Let's go to D, calling us from the LBC, as y'all like to call it. Good morning, D.
Good morning, Dominique. How you being?
I am blessed and highly favored. How art thou?
Great and greater. I want to put on my Donald Trump hat for a moment.
You have one of those? Does it say "Make America Great Again" on it?
No, it says LA Dodgers.
Okay. So we'll imaginary Trump hat. Got it.
Okay, I would take a page out of Richard Nixon's playbook and choose a Latina running mate for, from a battleground state. Bob Dole and George W. Bush both got at least 10% of the black vote, which was the old minimum threshold for electability. A Trump 2.0 would be the equivalent of an Augusto Pinochet, whose antithesis is Michelle Bachelet, of the Chicago Boys School of Benevolent Dictators.
Yeah, maybe he can get Enrique
America,
Tarrio, the Proud Boys leader.
Maybe.
He's Cuban. Marco
but
Rubio?
Goes, maybe. No, because of the boots reference, that I don't think that would be viable. Remember something about the boots that go-go boots that Mr. Trump insinuated that Mr.
Oh yeah, and he called him Little Marco. But these guys are they're so spineless, worm-like that he called Ted Cruz's wife ugly. You don't think Ted Cruz would take the job? Absolutely, he would. He'd get his wife a makeover and keep it pushing.
Well, as goes America, so goes the world.
Marco would be out there with go-go boots dancing on the campaign trail. Trump, Rubio, 24. I mean, yeah, strategically it's a smart move. Pull in more of the Latine vote and F the black folks. Although some gullible Thomas Clarence followers are, and I believe some I call you gullible, you might call yourself independent-minded, whatever. Some black folks will vote for he who shall not be named, whatever the circumstance. But I think strategically that would be a smart move.
A Trump 2.0 would unleash a wave of autocrats and fascists, from Marine Le Pen
it already has.
to Jair Bolsonaro.
Yeah, it already has.
Yeah. So, it's pretty much what it is.
But here's the thing, Dee. I mean, you're part of our KBLA delegation. We talk all the time. I know you're a Republican, and I don't get it. You can clearly see the white nationalist extremism that's being unleashed upon our country, the fascist wave that's circling the globe, and yet you stay in the party of white supremacy. How, Sway?
They aren't the only party of white supremacy, but
shots fired.
I get to be on the ground floor of remaking a party. The ground floor. Who gets that opportunity? Never. You never get that opportunity.
Well, Trump's already remade the party, and I think it's going to be hard to remake it more than he's remade it. You'd have to unmake it and remake it.
Old white men will eventually die, as all men do. But, to me, it's an opportunity. You get on the ground floor.
Old white men die. I mean, not wishing death on anyone, really. Retirement, not death. But they have spawn. I mean, Dylan Roof is 23 by now. White supremacy.
Who is that?
The guy that,
know who that is?
Yeah, he's the man that shot up, murdered all those people in Mother Emanuel Church.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't call his name.
Okay, well, good for you. That kind of stuff gives me nightmares. But in any case,
can I segue into something, Dominique? Can I segue into something?
Go ahead, segue away.
My meds cost in excess of $4,000 a month.
Wow.
And I'm a firm believer in the law of large numbers. The more people in the system, the tighter the variability with the highest peak. And I say that because Medicare for all would be, is a no-brainer statistically. It's a no-brainer. The more
I agree. I can't name any Republicans that believe that other than you. But I agree, absolutely. Medicare for all would solve a lot of our problems. Yeah, it's expensive, but so are homeless people dying in the street. So are hospitalizations of people who don't have insurance. I was just reading about Mary Lou Retton. She didn't have insurance. A famous gymnast can't afford it. And even though there's a penalty for not getting it, like many Americans opted to live without it. Yes, to Medicare for all. Absolutely. And I'm assuming...
And not just stateside, stateside, but globally.
Oh, globally. Okay. I'm assuming you didn't watch Biden yesterday at Mother Emanuel AME Church.
I rarely watch TV, so I don't know why I subscribe to
well, he
network,
was pitching black voters, speaking out against racism, and he was talking about that shooting in 2015 at the Mother Emanuel Church where 9 people were murdered by a guy named Dylan Roof. That's all.
Okay, milk it for all it's worth.
That was yesterday. Yeah. Well,
okay.
I mean, I think my friend Jasmine Kennick makes a good point that we don't know how much longer that will be the go-to for politicians as people are leaving formal religion, and younger Black Americans are not necessarily going to be reached that way, but the thought, the impetus, the initiative in speaking out against white supremacy was appreciated. He was interrupted by protesters calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. And I think he handled it well. Clearly they were prepared for it because the crowd started chanting 4 more years and drowned those people out. Anyway, yeah, Dee, I agree. Medicare for all. And I think the cost will be outweighed by the benefit. Giving you the last 30 seconds here.
Certainly, which is why what happened in California is a positive development. The more people you have enrolled, the lower the cost on average.
There goes that economist hat that you put on once again. But this is what people didn't understand when the president when Obama put forth Obamacare, which was Affordable Care Act. More Americans are bankrupt by medical bills out of control than any other single thing, and Black people are disproportionately impacted. Next step, Medicare for all. Let's do it. Looking forward to the conversation with Freeway Ricky Ross next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Welcome to a Tuesday. It is January 9th. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Former President Trump is expected to appear his hearing in a Washington, D.C. federal appeals court. Then on Thursday,